Usually I like to cover a multitude of gaming news from across the board, but as you know, this week Nintendo exploded harder than a bomb, unleashing so much news, I developed backlog anxiety.
Hello, darkness, my old friend. I've come to talk with you again. Because a vision softly creeping left its seat while I was sleeping, and the vision that was planted in my brain still remains.
9 out of 10 gamers suffer from gaming backlog anxiety. If you or a loved one needs help, share and like this video. For each like, a gamer's anxiety is relieved. Hey Genius! With the Tokyo Game Show taking place next week, we'll focus on all the Nintendo news, now specifically the fallout of this past week's Direct. Confirming one of the recent rumors, Overwatch has finally been confirmed to be coming to the Nintendo Switch on October 15th. The game adds in motion controls and portability over its other versions and will retail for $40, which comes bundled with a bunch of free skins and a 3-month subscription to Nintendo Switch Online. Unfortunately, Blizzard has stated crossplay won't be available just yet, so if you are hoping to play against your friends who have the game already, tough luck. Also, if you pre-purchase the game, you can get the exclusive Widowmaker Noir skin, which was only available to anyone who pre-ordered the game prior to its original launch 3 years ago. It's worth noting this skin currently sells for $80 and up on eBay right now, which puts its value way higher than this channel and any of my content. Now, if you're looking for another shooter that won't cost you money and supports cross-platform play, there's Hi-Rez's new Rogue Company. I'm getting some Lost Reavers vibe from this game. You remember that game? Hopefully, it'll have a better legacy. Next, we receive more info on new worlds and a new multiplayer mode for Luigi's Mansion 3, which at this point, just stop. We all want it. We're all ready to drop some money. Stop showing us the game. It just makes it that much harder to wait. And a new Kirby game shadow dropped this week where you help Kirby fight his greatest challenge yet, microtransactions. Super Kirby Clash is a free welcome upgrade to the 3DS title Team Kirby Clash Deluxe. It's a game about upgrading Kirby, collecting stickers, and fighting hundreds of bosses with some fine folks online. As for the microtransactions, they're there for people who don't want to grind it out like the good old days, but pay for instant gratification. And hey, no judgment here. After the Kirby news is when the Direct took a sudden turn into RPG land. If you like RPGs, this Direct was definitely for you. In fact, I counted the games, and out of about 35 games showcased in the Direct, a quarter of them were RPGs. Now, I used to love RPGs myself, but there's just no way for me to play them anymore and stay on top of the flurry of other game releases. It's just impossible. Plus, they're all starting to just kind of blend together for me, so here they are, all in one go. First is Trials of Mana Remake, a game with a colorful world and a male protagonist with a sword, coming in 2020. Then a reminder that the Dragon Quest XI port is coming out this month, which is a game set in a colorful world and has a male protagonist with a sword. Oh, and then there's another remake, but this time of Xenoblade, which is a game with a colorful world and a male protagonist with a sword, also coming in 2020. Now wait, hang on. Here's a different one. Tokyo Mirage Session Encore, which is set in a colorful world and has a male protagonist, also with a sword, but only sometimes. All right, I know it's getting a little repetitive, but there is some diversity here somewhere. Like Ni no Kuni, Wrath of the White Witch, which is set in a colorful world, has a male protagonist, but does not have a sword. Oh shit, wait, yeah he does. Okay, while we're at it, it's not quite an RPG, but don't forget this little game that's also set in a colorful world with a male protagonist wielding a sword. Now, to be fair, all those games were developed in Japan. If we look at the Western developed RPGs, it's a breath of fresh air. Like Witcher 3 is another RPG, which was showcased and sure has a male protagonist with a sword, but it's set in a dark world. And then there's Divinity Original Sin 2 Definitive Edition that's coming to the Switch, which is another Western RPG set in a dark world, but has 6 possible protagonists, switching up the formula a bit. Also worth noting that this version offers shared cloud saves between Steam and Switch, allowing you to progress through the game both at home and on the go. And that's a pretty cool feature. We should see more of that. New information was shared on the upcoming Pokemon Sword and Shield, and I am convinced the developers on this game have a lot of pent-up sexual energy. Or I just have a dirty mind. I don't know. You guys tell me. But really, who comes up with a Pokemon camp idea and goes, I think we need a tickle wand at camp? Also, you can't even realistically tickle half of these creatures. They're either covered in scales or fur. It just doesn't work. At least I don't think so. I've never tried to tickle an alligator or a bird. And then wait, get a load of this bird. It sits there deep-throating a fish for a whole turn before shooting it in your opponent's face. What the hell is that? That is so unnecessary. Now granted, the other features are pretty cool. Pokemon is finally fleshing out its customization system, allowing for players to look the way they want to, finally. I'm also all for this new cooking game, but what's with the curry obsession? Why is curry the only dish you can make? Like, give me some variety here. Also, you notice these sausages? I wonder what kind of Pokemon that's made from. And the fact that it's served to other Pokemon as food is kind of messed up, don't you think? Lastly, there's tea Pokemon, which is fine, except for the following subtext for that Pokemon. Its body is made of tea, complete with its own aroma and flavor. It may even allow a trusting trainer to taste its tea. What the fuck? Stranger danger! Stranger danger! Stranger danger! On another note, for those who complain Pokemon never evolves, have you noticed Game Freak's other game that's totally an evolved Pokemon game, but let's not call it a Pokemon game, alright? Little Town Hero is another little RPG set in a colorful world with a male protagonist wielding a shield. While the mechanics are quite different, it's easy to imagine switching the characters out with Pokemon and boom, a new evolved formula for the Pokemon genre. Next up, Bethesda had an interesting announcement to make, but it's what they didn't announce that's more concerning. It looks like Doom Eternal won't be coming to Switch, at least not at launch, but hey, here's Doom 64 instead for all you fans to play. You know, the one Doom game with the most mediocre score in the franchise? It'll be interesting to see how well this gem aged. And speaking of questionable old games, Jedi Knight 2 is coming back as well. While that was fun in the early days of online multiplayer, I can't imagine that game aging so well. Now, those titles aside, there were quite a few random oldies making a comeback. Ubisoft announced the Assassin's Creed Rebel collection, bringing the total Assassin's Creed game count to 3 on the Switch. You know, only about a dozen more to go before we get the whole collection. In all fairness, if there's one Assassin's Creed game to play, it's Black Flag, which is included in this collection. And getting the underappreciated Assassin's Creed Rogue is just an extra nice bonus. Other classic ports include a shadow drop of the open world survival horror game Deadly Premonition, which debuted 9 years ago. A sequel is set to arrive in 2020, and I can't tell you anything more about this franchise as I only learned about it a few days ago. But I'm sure this guy can shed more light on it because he seems pretty hyped about it. Other dark and uninteresting looking games include Call of Cthulhu and Return of the Obra Dinn. Now, one of the biggest segments of the presentation had to be the Smash Ultimate news, at least for those still engrossed in the Smash hype. My personal highlight was when Sakurai called us all out for being weak for only playing one character at a time. He asserted his full dominance, showing everyone that the only worthy opponent for Sakurai is Sakurai. Other highlights included a Banjo Shadow Drop, the 4th Challenger pack being a guy that hardly anyone knew and got people mad, which is interesting because I remember when Melee came out, hardly anyone knew Marth, Roy, Ice Climbers, or Mr. Game & Watch, and they love being introduced to new IPs and characters. And then more costumes were showcased with a random bombshell announcements of Sans from Undertale getting a costume, effectively making him a playable character. It was nice to see the home run contest also return, fully completing the Smash Ultimate experience and revealing Sandbag's fetish for punishment. Just look at that bag blush. It's so damn cute. Okay, I still have over 10 games to talk about, which is ridiculous, and since I don't plan on buying them and we're getting short on time, I'll just sum it up by saying, hey, welcome to the Switch family, Mario and Sonic at the Olympics 2020, Daemon X Machina, Dauntless, Just Dance 2020, Grid Autosport, Farming Simulator 20, NBA 2K20, Outer Worlds, Devil May Cry 2, now that was actually a nice surprise, Vampire, and Animal Crossing. Now, I know there's a huge audience for Animal Crossing, and that's fine, but I am not that audience. Just like how I used to say I'm not Castlevania's audience and then proceeded to play every game in the franchise and dream about it constantly. By the way, Castlevania might be my next Hollow Knight if you know what I mean. Now let's talk more about some good stuff, like the Switch Online updating to include SNES games starting with 20 games. In true Nintendo form, they included games that everyone loves and remembers fondly, like Super Soccer or Super Tennis. To be fair, the remaining 18 titles are a pretty solid lineup, including some exclusives like Stunt Race FX. Personally, I'll be checking out Pilot Wings, Kirby's Dream Land 3, and Super Mario World 2 Yoshi's Island, which are all games I've never had the chance to try before. And speaking of Switch Online, Tetris 99 received more updates, making it more appealing than ever. And I'm not talking about the masochist Invictus mode that requires you to be first in Maximus either. Screw that. Rather, I'm eyeing those daily missions which reward you with some tickets to spend on custom themes like Mario and Zelda themes. That's how you get Hey Jay to play some Tetris. That or a competition involving cake in some form. Outside of the Direct, there was some other Nintendo-related news, such as the new Golden Shovel Knight amiibo for those who desperately need to show how not rich they are by owning a fake gold plastic toy. And then there's this Switch patent showing off foldable Joy-Cons, which I have no comment for. I never held a Switch in my hands and thought, wow, I wish I could bend these Joy-Cons. I have, however, held a Switch and thought, wow, I sure wish these Joy-Cons would stop drifting. Maybe release a patent for that, huh, Nintendo? And lastly, let's talk about this Joy Belt, which evokes terrible memories of the Wii commercials. I suspect it's going to be a Switch Online workout game where you compete against people around the world in different exercises.
I want to be the very best, like no one ever was. To catch them is my real test, to train them is my cause.
I guess we'll have to wait until September 12th to find out what this atrocity is. Do let me know what you think it is in the comments. I'll see you next time, and until then, don't teabag people. Keep it classy. Welcome back to Credits with Comments. The comments from the last HG News go with Kevin saying, masterful intro. Thank you very much. Glad you liked it. LXIV saying, loving the new style. Wasn't aware I changed the style, but welcome to the community. MRC, amazing opener. Glad you liked it. Doug Tri says, well done. I look forward to your content each week. Any follow up to the mystery of the missing nipples? I'm afraid that they're still missing. Perhaps Wario is a clone of Mario. Probably possible. Reproductive organs are non-existent also. Wario has no balls. Well, I don't think anyone wants to find those. Regular Dad here says, I get a standing ovation every time I use a public restroom. Hell, even guys in wheelchairs get up off their ass and show respect. I don't even know. Smarto just says, I like the small detail of the Wario pin. Good job. Thanks for noticing. There's always small details around the show. Ethan finally says, I made it on Hey J News. I can die happy. I hate this Sean Long guy not giving people shoutouts from comments. You know, welcome to the premium content of YouTube. I'm glad you've subscribed. That's all for the comments this week. I'll see you next week in Credits with Comments.